So this is Louis, and for today we're going to be covering the Google Memo fiasco. It's been a pretty goddamn amazing year for Google because I haven't had much of a reason to cover them in the past, but all of a sudden, I have to choose from a litany of outright scandals. I was going to do a video on YouTube deciding to partner up with fucking lunatic organizations like the Anti-Defamation League to censor content creators and everything else related to the upcoming policy changes, but all of that pales in comparison to this memo story. The apocalypse story isn't as important. Nothing is more important than what's going on right now because Google, by all appearances, is run by a pack of fucking full-blown ideologues and just completely spineless pussies. All of this started with James Damore, an engineer working at Google, who wrote a 10-page critique of the company's existing strategy to hire more women. Now let's be clear about what this document was. This was a constructive critique of Google's existing strategy for hiring more women. In the document, James outright says that he is in favor of diversity and the inclusion of women in the tech sector, but thinks the current strategy will not work. This was not an MRA manifesto. This was not a conservative maverick standing up for all right-wingers in tech. This is not a memo of a burned-out employee lashing out at women or any other bullshit. I'm not completely accepting of the way outlets like InfoWars, Breitbart, and other right-wing websites are covering this, but considering the current political climate, beggars can't be choosers. One of the good things conservatives like Paul Joseph Watson and Ben Shapiro have done is debunk the absolutely awful and defamatory coverage by the mainstream media. Ben Shapiro wrote a succinct article for the Daily Wire debunking the dogshit claims made by a host of verified leftist retards. But forget about the slander. As to the claims related to the biological differences between men and women, are they accurate? According to experts in the field, yes. What James states in the document is scientifically credible. If you want to read the full critique, I will link it for you to look through. However, at this point, I think most of you have at least skimmed through it. The real issue I see here is everything else that's going on, that's related to Google but isn't exclusive to Google. First, what the fuck is going on in this country with women? Seriously, what is going on? You have the Labor Department chasing after Google because of apparent discriminatory hiring. And according to James Damore, this isn't what you think it is. This may actually be Google violating federal law by discriminating in favor of white women or racial minorities and against white men.
And so, why did you do this?
So about a month and a half ago, I went to one of our diversity summits, all of it unrecorded and super secret, and they told me a lot of things that I thought just were not right.
Okay, what do you mean unrecorded and super secret?
Well, I mean, they were telling us about a lot of these potentially illegal practices that they've been doing to try to increase diversity. And
what kind of practices?
Well, basically treating people differently based on what their race or gender are.
Oh, you mean racism?
Yeah, basically.
I see. And it was ultra secret and unrecorded. In what manner?
Most meetings at Google are recorded. Anyone at Google can watch it. We're trying to be really open about everything, except for this. You know, they don't want any paper trail for any of these things.
Well, okay, why?
Because I think it's illegal. And I mean, as some of the internal polls showed, there were a large percent of people that agreed with me on the document. And so if everyone got to see this stuff, then they would really bring up some criticism.
Now with that in mind, you have scores of women participating in a lawsuit against Google claiming that the company discriminates against women. Only one of these things can be true. You can't have women being maligned while also being discriminated in favor of. If I had to take a guess, it's that Silicon Valley is being flooded with useless, parasitic, gold-digging whores. I suppose the rest of the country should feel relieved that all of the awful women are concentrated in a single place. This issue isn't as serious as some of the others, but there is something going on in this country. With the majority of college graduates being women, to the scum on Wall Street, I say, good luck. Moving on, we have the issue of social media companies being openly hostile to anything outside of today's narrative and general progressive dogma. I mean, you have to understand that the reason why so many of these people are outright rejecting James's critique is because they're social constructivists. These people reject biology in determining sexuality, physiology, gender, preferences, behavior, and on the list goes. These people subscribe to the idea of humans being a blank slate in every way and determined by culture and whatever else. No one is born a male or female, straight or gay, physically stronger or weaker, or anything else. Ergo, these people are fucking insane. I'm more than willing to say that women can do whatever they want, but I'm not denying basic biology, and I'm not conceding the fact that humans are a sexually dimorphic species. The trans issue and feminism in general has conditioned a chunk of the West to lose their collective fucking minds, but it's time to just be real on the science. Getting closer back to the main topic, Google's workplace is a toxic environment. The witch hunt against James Damore had barely started before the upper management at Google called down to James's manager and had him fired on the spot for no fucking reason. James has already stated that he plans to sue Google for wrongful termination, and he likely has a case for it. There was no hesitation in firing him, and if you look at the fallout from this, it isn't surprising. Breitbart has an interview with a Google employee that spells out how awful and unproductive the environment is, and 2 separate articles have been written covering the fact that Google managers keep blacklists of current employees for no other reason than ideological bigotry. The CEO of YouTube went on to write an op-ed for Fortune magazine in which she defamed James, dressed up the discriminatory practices at Google, and used her own daughter as a tool to make an emotional appeal for continuing what is likely illegal behavior. And finally, we have an interview at Breitbart with a Google insider alleging that YouTube employees are manipulating the platform for ideological ends. Among everything that's going on with this part of the story, YouTube is allegedly hiding videos opposed to or critical of regressive leftists, progressives, feminists, and social justice dickheads. One of the channels offered by the source that is allegedly being censored and manipulated by YouTube itself is Sargon of Akkad. This is fucking unbelievable, but at the same time an allegation that fits well within what's already been said by Google employees. Because of their actions and unpersuasive spin to this story, there's now a large spotlight on Google. This may just be the beginning of an overt crackdown on any accounts linked to dissenting opinions, but my hope is that the bigger names among us can pressure Google to back down from their regressive posturing. YouTube and the internet in general is a bastion of free thought. There are divided communities and ideological factions, but at least that comes with an exchange of beliefs. To Google, please stop attempting to force far-left identity politics down the throats of your users. Please stop your attempts to censor or marginalize channels that you politically disagree with. You're free to promote the same regressive, unpersuasive channels that you always have, and users will continue to ignore them. Most people are not Bay Area moralists and do not agree with your worldview. Some of us can't afford to agree with your lifestyle and your utopian conception of reality. Please allow the free flow of ideas and information. Please fuck off to your San Francisco equivalent of Manhattan skyrise cocktail parties and leave the masses alone. Thanks for listening.